readers, writers, and friends. Book Badger here. Wait, Book Badger. I thought I was Story Serpent.
No.
But snakes eat rats. It's a T-Swifty thing.
No.
I guess people thought I was a Slytherin. So, Book Badger here. And today we are talking about The House at the Edge of Magic by Amy Sparks. It was published in the UK in 2021 by Margaret K. McElderry, which is ultimately a Simon & Schuster property, and they brought it here to the US in March of 2025, and we all know what a red flag that is. But before we get into it, today's random words are like, share, subscribe, Jubilant. So, the UK is trying very, very hard to replace Rowling. They have been for a while, and the modus operandi has been release a book in the UK, a middle grade fantasy by a female author, see how it does in the UK, and if it does moderately well in the UK, ship it off to the Americas and let the colonists see if they'll take to it the way they did to Harry Potter. Which is obviously what they are trying to do here. So, let's see what the book has to say for itself. A witch's curse, a hidden treasure, a wizard in fluffy slippers. 9 is an orphan pickpocket with nothing to her name, but when she plucks a beautiful ornament from someone's purse, she's sure her luck is about to change. Instead, her treasure grows into an enormous house full of magic, mystery, and ridiculous residents. But this enchanted place is under a terrible curse that only 9 can break, and she might be willing to help for something in return. So, we are promised an immense amount of whimsy as we are presented with wizard in fluffy slippers. 9 is still going to be girl who's the key to everything, but at least they're upfront about that. And we are definitely promised lots of magic, ridiculous residents. So it's going to take full-on magical world building kind of to its extremes. I, as you can see, got this from the library, and despite the fact that there is currently a $25.99 price on my head, I'm going to give it back. And I'm going to give it back because I liked it so much I bought my own. Yeah, you didn't see that one coming. You thought this was going to be a bowl full of wokitude. It's not. Book delivers on its promises without shoving a bunch of woke shenanigans. It's got a couple of hang-ups. We'll talk about them, but I think we're going to like where we're going. Obviously, this cover is delightful. It is full of all of the whimsy and enchantment that we are promised. The fun thing is, as you read through the book, there are elements of the cover that become relevant and that you can see, I see why they did that. I see why they put that in there. The spine is great. We have one of these ridiculous characters. I don't know if you can see that, but it's a spoon. It's a talking sword-wielding spoon. And he's a fun little character in there. Title, and look, it's a series. So we get a series number on the spine. See, it's not hard. Just do it. And then as you continue on to the back cover, you do actually start seeing into the backyard and some of the more ominous elements of the story that we'll find later. Library edition, no edges. Barnes & Noble special edition, edges. And both editions have these lovely little chapter header illustrations. They're so cute. They don't interrupt the story. They're not stupid, like they don't get in the way. I've seen a lot of late, especially within middle grade fantasy, them trying to do more illustrations than that, and they just kind of get in the way, especially when they feel low quality. Each one of these is just enchanting and delightful as you go through the book. They're adorable. They're so much fun. Now, I had to put one of my delightful little book darts right at the top of chapter 1. Let's read it. 9 crouched down behind the stacked fish crates at the bustling market. Okay, that's not much of a hook for me. It's like, okay, we have our character, she's crouching, whatever. Dead fish always look so surprised, she thought. Surprised to be dead? Surprised to be caught? There's that subtle thought-caught rhyme in there that you don't realize is hooking your brain, but it is. Well, no one would surprise 9 anyway. She had no intention of being caught or of dying, thank you very much. And if that isn't a blatant Rowling callback to the Dursleys were perfectly normal, thank you very much, I don't know what is. Even though she ran the risk of both every day of her life. So 9 is doing something illegal, very dangerous. We don't know exactly what it is, but she's very convinced that she's good enough at what she's doing that she's not going to get caught and she's not going to die. That opening paragraph would be a fantastic study for inference building for schools. And again, shocker and spoiler alert, I would totally recommend doing at least book 1 as a super fun lit study if you've got a little extra time as a teacher. If you are working on inferences and drawing conclusions based on the text and not having everything totally spelled out for you because the author doesn't think you're a moron, The House at the Edge of Magic might be a good one to pick up. I will say a comparison between Harry Potter and The House at the Edge of Magic is a little unfair because Amy Sparks is using a very soft magic system. We don't know how the magic works. We don't know why it works. We just know it does. We know there's a ton of it everywhere. And we know that because the magical residents of the house we are introduced to are under a kind of curse, that cursing is a thing, and the curse has certain stipulations, and that's kind of where the edges of the magic are in the limits of the curse that they're under. But it doesn't have the same kind of deep world building and exacting nature of the Harry Potter books. And as a result, as a story, I don't think it has the potential to go as deep as Harry Potter eventually did. I don't think it has the potential to age with its readers the same way. And as a result, I don't think it has the potential to stick with future audiences the same way either. It's a ton of fun. And if the rest of the series, which will be 4 books so far, is what we have on the docket, if it holds true to form, it will be super fun. Your middle graders will gobble it up. If you are doing a read aloud with your child, you will have so much fun. And then you will all move on with your lives. 9 isn't the kind of character that has enough gravitas to hold you there, even though she's not a wizard. She's maybe a little more relatable to kids, but at the same time, kids want to feel powerful. They want to feel like they are the wizard. And so having the wizard Flabbergast, yep, that's his name, Flabbergast, being the one with all the magic, I think it removes that potential for that deep immersion that Rowling had. There's a lot of eyebrow raising. I marked several instances where it's like, okay, everybody's raising their eyebrow. Like, put your eyebrows down, everybody. It's okay. So maybe I realize that book 3 is already out, released September 30th, but book 4 is still coming next March. So maybe Amy's editors do a document search for raised eyebrows, see if we can mitigate that. As far as any sort of thematic issues, I was delighted to find such minimal wokitude in here. It was just a super fun story. It was just a super fun story from beginning to end. The only time I got a little was everyone kept saying the witch who had cursed these people, oh, the witch is clever. The witch is clever. And they would say this after explaining some part of the curse that is very tricky. So you do see the application of the cleverness before they, they're not just telling you she's clever, they're showing you that they believe this thing she has done is clever. However, Flabbergast continues to rail that, no, she's not, she's not that clever. Like, he's clearly very, sour grapes, a little bitter, and when we, spoiler alert, find out she's his sister, we can kind of get why there's that sibling rivalry. But a lot of the time it just comes off as he's miffed that he got taken advantage of in some way, and he's very arrogant and full of himself. Like, he's not a super likable character all the time. And while that's fine, we want our characters to be complex, I wish I had seen more of his capacity to be clever as a wizard rather than we're just charmed by this goofy, he's described as somewhat good looking, which middle graders don't care, goofy wizard in a pair of fuzzy slippers, a bathrobe. You know, he's much more relaxed than we would normally see from this kind of character, while simultaneously being told from 9 that there is this mystical look of living 1,000 years and having all this power. Like, every once in a while she gets this glimpse behind the mask of this person with immense power, immense intellect, whatever, and yet he seems to be constantly focused on very petty things, and he's very down on the people around him. I think the point is 9 is going to be a gentling and humbling force in his life over the course of these books, but I would have liked to be a little bit more interested in him as a character from the beginning. Now, I will tell you, there was one place where I died laughing, and if you know your British comedy, you will know, because The Wizard's Little Book of Calm, which is a sharp-edged steelbook, embeds itself in the door of the library because it attacks somebody. And this is in no small part why I went ahead and bought the exclusive edition from Barnes & Noble. I don't usually like to do that because I don't really find whatever extras they've included to be super compelling. You guys, the extras are excerpts from The Wizard's Little Book of Calm. If you know, you know. I died. I laughed so hard, members of my family were concerned for my personal health at the time. If you are an adult who knows your British comedy, you will be tickled by this. And the thing is, kids don't necessarily have to know, because the entries in the Little Book of Calm are sort of ridiculous. They're a little surrealistic. They're just meant to be amusing. Kids will enjoy that, while adults are just having a grand time. And that is why the Book Badger is giving The House at the Edge of Magic a Best Beach Reads. It's not quite pitch perfect, but man, it is almost there. And if the series continues as it has begun, I'm going to be really excited to finally recommend another British author. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. If you've got a book you want to see the Book Badger take on, feel free to put it down in the comments. Till next time, read on, write on, stay sharp.